Amen. Shabbat Shalom. I'm excited about this one. I just hope I can pull it off because my notes are very dense. Got 14 pages. I don't read everything out of there, so don't panic. But in keeping with our plan for this year, I'm going to summarize everything in the portion briefly, and then we're going to circle back and look deeper into each of those sections. So in Genesis 23, we see the death and burial of Sarah, Abraham's wife. She dies, she's 127 years old. She dies at Kiryat Arba, which is Hebron, which is just outside Jerusalem. Abraham is mourning deeply, and then he gets up immediately and he negotiates with the Hittites for a burial plot. Ephron, the son of Zohar, for the cave of Machpelah. And we're going to talk about that in some detail here in a minute. Ephron offers to give it to him, but Abraham insists on paying 400 shekels openly in front of the Hittites. And the Hittites are the sons of Chet. So I want you to note that a Chet, that's literally the spelling of the sound of the letter, his name. Are you with me? Yeah. So the letter is Chet, and that's that guy's name, but it's spelled out. All right, so it's a Chet and a Tav, which literally you could look at, well, symbolically, as the end of life. Right? But the value of the Chet is 8, which is eternal life. So you're going to see a lot of that theme in this portion. So the field, the cave, the trees, they're all deeded to Abraham as a permanent burial site. And he buries Sarah there at Machpelah. And he establishes the first piece of the promised land because that's the first piece of it that Abraham or anybody akin to him owns. Does that make sense? So that's the very first piece of the promised land owned by Israel was a burial plot. Next, we're in chapter 24, and Abraham is finding a wife for Isaac. He's old. He's got this servant whose name we don't know. It may be Eleazar. We don't know that, however, because he could be dead. Abraham is very old here. All right. He is finding a wife for his son Isaac, but not from among the Canaanites. So this unnamed servant travels to Abraham's homeland, to Nahor. The servant prays for God's guidance and asks for a sign so that he knows he's got the right bride for Yitzhak. Rivka appears. She offers water not only for the servant, but for his camels, exactly fulfilling his sign. I hate these vague prophecies that people make, and then they stick little puzzle pieces in there that are incomplete. See? He's a prophet. Rebecca agrees to go immediately. She blesses her family. She leaves with this unnamed servant. She goes back to marry a man she'd never seen. When she arrives, Isaac sees her coming in the distance, and she veils herself. They meet and they marry, and Isaac loves her, and she brings him comfort in his mother's tent. So that's chapter 24. 25, 1 through 18, which is the end of our portion. This is after Sarah's death. It's after a wife is found for Isaac. Abraham marries Keturah. A lot of people don't know that Abraham remarried and had all these other kids. He had 6 sons: Zimran, Yokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Midian you should be very familiar with. Abraham gives all of his inheritance to Isaac. None of the other sons, not Ishmael, nor these 7. So that's 8 other brothers. 8 is playing a big role in this portion for some reason, at least this time when I read it. None of them get an inheritance Only Isaac does. The rest of them get gifts. Abraham lives to be 175 years old, and he dies at a good old age. Man, 175 years. I don't know if I want to go that long. Not in this world. Isaac and Ishmael, this is important. Bury him in the cave of Machpelah in the field that Abraham bought. So that cave plays a big role in the life of Israel. God, after Abraham's death, God blesses Isaac, and Isaac lives in, and write this down, the Tehillah. And then at the end of this chapter, we have a listing of Ishmael's 12 sons for some odd reason. And we're going to talk about that. All right, so let's dive deep. So concerning the death and burial of Sarah, the first words are Vayiyu Khayei Sarah. And that kind of hit me between the eyes because you read it in the English and it says, and Sarah lived for 127 years. What it says in Hebrew is Vayiyu Khayei Sarah. So I think that's a hint about something because you could have said it more plainly in Hebrew. We're reading about Sarah dying, but the words are that are expressing death actually start with and Sarah lived. So there's the first thing. This might be about something other than her death. Even though that's what's being announced. Am I right? Mm-hmm. It literally reads this way. Vayiyu Khayei Sarah means, and these will be the lives of Sarah. If you're reading it in Hebrew, you see the plurals in those two words that precede Sarah's name. And at the end of that sentence, it says, Shne Khayei Sarah. And that means these are the years of Sarah, but that's actually can be exactly the same. It's the exact same letters, and it is 2 lives of Sarah. All right. What it says in the Peshat translation is these were the years of Sarah, but what it says literally is 2 lives of Sarah. Why? So these will be the lives of Sarah, 2 lives of Sarah. That's the beginning of the sentence and the end of the sentence. Is everybody with me? She lived her life in this world, Olam Hazeh, and now she's living her life in Olam Haba. It's important. We talk about it all the time. We believe in the resurrection. When God's people die, they don't die. Yeshua said it himself. And I'll probably quote that again. I'm already getting excited, guys. We can also look at this as she lived a life before Isaac, and then she lived a life after Isaac. Did she not? Yes. We could also see it. She lived as a princess in her father's house, Sarai, my princess, and then she lived as a princess in God's kingdom, Sarah, princess. I think it's all of these things. It's more than just 2, right? It's a double. It's layers. And that's actually what Machpelah means, is folded over into layers, where she was buried. 2 lives of Sarah, a physical life and a spiritual life. A life in the flesh and a life in the spirit. New birth. A life under the first covenant and a life under a renewed covenant. A life under the covenant of Sinai and a life under the covenant of Jerusalem. Everybody with me? So you put it all together. She was laid in Machpelah, which is a double folding over. And she's going to lie there until such time as that body that is still in that ground is going to rise from the dead. Yeshua said it. I just alluded to it. Yohanan 11, verse 25. Yeshua said, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, even though he dies, he shall live. There are people in the Messianic realm that are going around talking about soul sleep. That when we die, we're just snoring beneath the earth. And that's not what it is. Yeshua makes it very plain that we go to Abraham's bosom and we fellowship there until such time as he comes back. And then if we are there and he comes back and blows the shofar, then we rise from the dead. Our bodies rise and we're reunited with our souls. We become an eternal being. And if we're on this earth and we're still alive and that happens, then we translate. We change in a moment and twinkle of an eye, and then we go and we live forever.
Yes. Amen. Thank you.
Yeshua knew, I believe, because if you didn't catch this, that's where Yeshua called Lazar from the dead. They were weeping, they were mourning, they were mournful, they were sad. And Yeshua wept. I don't believe he wept because of Lazar's death. I know he did, because I think he wept because he was about to call him back from paradise.
Yes. Exactly.
Dang it, I have to do this. And these people don't recognize me. I've been with him for 3.5 years. If you don't know this, Lazar's incident of him rising from the dead was right before Passover.
Right.
So Yeshua had been with him for 3.5 years, and then, oh my gosh, are these people ever going to understand? I got to call this guy back from paradise just to make them believe I am the resurrection and the life. Shnei Khayei Sarah. 2 lives, 2 worlds. 2 lives, 2 covenants. 2 lives, 2 births, flesh and spirit. 2 lives, 2 identities. Before in the flesh, after in the spirit. 2 names. Sarai, Sarah. 2 lives. A normal life and a life redeemed under Messiah. This life and resurrection. There's so many layers in here, I wish I had time to just dig in it and eat it like a steak, but I don't have time. So this is initiating the transition from the first life into the second life. And that's why Abraham is determined to own the cave in Machpelah. He doesn't want to rent it. He doesn't want it borrowed so that someone else can take it. He wants to own it because he knows, that's how confident. If he believed that God was going to raise Isaac from the dead if he took a knife to his neck, then I know he believed that he could raise Sarah from the dead. And I've said this, resurrection is talked about, hinted at, alluded to way back in the beginning. It's the foundation of our faith, and if we don't have resurrection, we're playing a stupid game with all the other religions in the world. It's the hope of a second life. That's why he buried her at Machpelah. Olam Haba is the age of the resurrection. Abraham did not buy a Sheol. I want you to write this down. If you look in the text there, he did not buy a Sheol. And the reason I'm saying that is because so many people think that Sheol, the place to go after you're dead, which the Bible makes very clear, is not a hole in the ground. The hole in the ground is a kever, and it literally says that, Tanu li achuzat kever. Give me a grave, kever, to possess forever. That's what achuzat means, to seize a hold of and never let go. Give me a kever, not a sheol. Is that clear?
Right.
Why that's important?
Yeah.
He purchases it. And that's a hint at, I believe, Yeshua purchasing our resurrection. He insists to pay the full price for it. And it was very costly for Yeshua to purchase our resurrection, was it not?
Oh, yes.
So he's married Sarah, and then immediately he turns around to find a wife for Isaac. Now we're in Genesis 24. He decides to send back to the land of his father, to the house of Isaac's mother. You got to remember, Sarah is Abraham's half-sister. So there's some close kinship here, all right? But he sends him back specifically to the mother of Isaac. This servant is unnamed. And I think there's some very stark imagery here. Abraham is known, his name means a father of a multitude. So a father of a multitude is sending an unnamed servant to go get a bride, an unknown bride, a strange bride, but yet familiar, for his son that we haven't seen in 20 years. You catch that? You got to remember last week, 2 chapters ago, we saw Abraham and Isaac both go up to the mountain. And then Abraham said they were both going to come back down. But when Abraham comes back down, we don't see Isaac. And so if we look back at that chapter, the end of that chapter, chapter 22, we see Abraham return to Be'er Sheva, the well of 7, the well of promise, the well of hope. And Sarah's people, for some reason, we learn about Sarah's people at the end of chapter 22. Particularly that Bethuel begot Rivka. So in chapter 22, I told you 8 is a big deal here. 8 people are born to Nahor, Abraham's brother. He purchased the grave from Chet, a guy whose name means 8. Rivka's name means bind together. Bethuel's name means a house of God. But if you stretch it out and look at it on a little bit deeper level, it means the daughter of a man of God. Nahor means the breath of sleep. The dirt nap that other people believe in, right? And God's going to take this bride out of the dirt nap house and bring her to God's house. Are you with me? It's a little bit silly, but I don't think it's a coincidence. Literally, Nahor means snoring. Nahor. Sounds like somebody I know. All of that is given to us at seemingly out of place. You know, God just throws a curveball in the scriptures every once in a while and puts this weird stuff there. And why is it here? Are you with me? We don't see Isaac again until his mother dies. No, we don't even see her in that him in that chapter where his mother died. You know he's there, but his name doesn't come up, right? We do not see him in this mission of this unnamed faithful servant. We hear about him, but we don't see him. Is everybody tracking with me? You read the portion, so hopefully you know what I'm talking about. Abraham sends this unnamed servant. Rivka is chosen by God because the servant said, I want to be very sure that I get the right person. Do this, this, and this. God does this, this, and this. And so he knows he's chosen the right person. And Rivka is seen running twice. And that running in the Old Testament is a picture of excitement of going to heaven. She's meeting the son of a father of a multitude. Are you with me? She's going with an unknown servant. Her lineage means the breath of sleep in the house of God, or the comfort of a princely man. This is another stretching out of Bethuel, the comfort of Nahor and Bethuel, the comfort of a princely man, a daughter of a man of God, is bound to, and then you could say, Abraham's house. So Abraham is a father. Isaac is the unseen son. The servant, I believe that's a picture of us and of us walking in the Ruach HaKodesh. Are you with me? The servant does not bring attention to himself. The servant completely and always defers to the son of his master. All through that chapter. Go and check it. Always deferring to the son. That's my mission. That's my purpose, is to get the bride for the son, the son, the son, the son. What do we hammer on all the time? The sonship of Yeshua. It's the most important thing about it. Yes, he's divine. Yes, he existed in eternity. But if he wasn't a human being, we're playing a game. It's his sonship that is important. And that's what that servant focuses on. Doesn't seek glory for himself. Doesn't take a dime for himself. Right? Mm-hmm. Brings gifts, in fact, to give to the bride. Whereas what you have today, people going out seeking the bride and raking money out of her pockets. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
She's invited and she leaves, but the servant leaves the choice to her. Did you see that when you read it? The servant of Abraham left the choice to Rivka whether or not she wanted to come. He didn't want her coming against her own will or for nefarious reasons, but out of sincerity and dedication. And that's what you end up seeing, right? The servant leads her safely to the house of the son. She meets him at an appointed place. It literally says that. And that's the tent of his mother, which I believe represents Israel. And at this point, Israel, in the sense of Sarah, is out of the tent. Are you with me? Do you see the imagery? Until our Jewish people get saved, they got to get drafted back in. Am I right?
Yeah.
We're all coming to the olive tree of Israel. We're all going into the tent of Sarah. They meet, however, in the field first. And the field in the Old Testament usually represents the world on a symbolic level. So they're meeting out there in the middle of the world. Every one of us met met Yeshua in a weird and strange place, probably, right? Certainly not within the confines of Israel, right? Or in the tent. Am I right? I also think it alludes to the fact that you got to have witnesses of your betrothal to Yeshua. I think God wants the world to see us betrothed to Him. Because what did Rivka do? She pulled the veil over her face. She put her virtue on. Are you with me? Because that represents a virgin back then. Are you with me? It's in the evening, so I think it's alluding to the end of days, because it's at the end of days when the bride, having been on a long journey through 600 miles from where they were to where they are in Beersheba. If I'm getting maybe closer to 1,000, because Beersheba is way down south in Israel. So it was a long trip. All right? So it's the end of days. Isaac goes to that field from Be'er Lahai Roi, the well of the life of the one who sees me. Now I believe that's a picture of, because that's where Abraham lived, right? Be'er Lahai Roi, I told you, write it down a while ago, right? So he's leaving his father and coming up to Be'er Sheva. He left Be'er Lahai Roi, the well of the life of the one who sees me, and that's his father, and he's going to the well of the oath, where what is marriage? It's an oath. Yeshua leaves his father's side to come and get us. He said it very plainly. If I go away and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you unto me, right? Chapter 25 is the final years of Abraham. He's got other sons, but he's specifying in this chapter that the inheritance goes to Isaac, not Ishmael. He's got other sons that are from another wife, because he remarried. The inheritance comes through the son of the promise, the true seed. So what you're seeing in chapter 5 is that you have to keep the promise linked to the son of promise. Because another gospel has come along, and it's the gospel of Islam, and they tell you that the blessings come through Ishmael. And that is a false gospel. It is.
Yes.
The sons of Keturah are sent east in this chapter. And So Abraham's last righteous deed on earth is ordering the inheritance to go to the son of the promise. He receives the kingdom. The others receive gifts. The blessing on the whole world that God promised to Abraham is specified to come on the world through Isaac. He made sure that everyone knows that the true son is the true heir. And then he dies. So that's the end of days. At the end of this world, at the end of the 7,000 years that are set aside for mankind, the world is going to know who the Son of God is. I promise you. And here's the thing. We have a conciliatory moment between Isaac and Ishmael. They buried Abraham together. And I've taught you this. I don't know if you've realized it, but I've taught you this about Psalm 83, that I believe that the Arab nations, which is Ishmael, are going to believe in Yahweh before Yeshua comes back. I honestly believe that.
Wow.
They're going to unify. Here they're burying Abraham together as brothers, which they have been fighting their whole lives and separate their whole lives. And now you're seeing a unification at the end of life. At the end of that chapter, or looking forward, at the end of our portion, I should say, in chapter 25, looking forward, we see a counter kingdom. What am I talking about? I didn't dive into this very deep, but I see it. Ishmael has 12 sons. That's a counter kingdom. It is. I just said it, Midian. Right? All the guys there are the enemies that Israel faces over and over and over again. So you have 12 against 12. You have a counter kingdom. And so much so that in 600 something AD, I want to say about the 630s, Ishmael's son Muhammad comes along and creates a counter kingdom of theology.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
And I've said it over and over. I believe the false Messiah will be a Muslim. I do. And he's going to unify Judaism and Christianity right along with Islam. And you see the beginning of it. It's all being negotiated right now. It's a preemptive mirror of Israel's 12 sons that we're seeing in that chapter. And Ishmael was predicted even at his birth that he would be a thorn in the whole world's side until the end of time. So that's a part of a false spiritual kingdom that looks very apostolic. There's another layer to that. You got people out there claiming apostolic authority that are liars and cheats. So let's look at the Haftarah and see if there's any connection. Sarah dies and the covenant passes to Isaac. David is dying and the kingship has to go to Solomon. And there is a thief waiting in the wings trying to take the throne from Solomon. And he's close kin. Do you see the similitude of this?
Yes. Yeah.
A false heir is trying to claim the throne. Adon Yah, my master is Yahweh. So he's pretending to be righteous. If we look at his name, then he sees Yahweh as master, but he's doing something that God doesn't like. And getting away with it. The masses are following him. That's a pattern, guys, that we've seen personally over and over and over. Adoniah is a pretender, just like the 12 princes that think they're going to run the world, and they do today. They do. Isaac and Ishmael versus Solomon and Adoniah. Both portions, the Torah and Haftarah, warn that the covenant must be guarded. It must go to the son. Again, emphasizing sonship, 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 sonship. Bathsheba, the daughter of the oath. Don't tell me that's not connected to Be'er Sheva, the well of the oath. Bat Sheva and Natan, which is a gift, literally to give. Giving of a daughter, just like we saw Rebecca with Betuel, daughter of the house of God. That's what Betuel means if you break the syllables apart. Bachka and Nathan intercede for the true heir, just like Rivka does for Jacob, which will be in our portion probably next week. Do you remember how she interceded for Jacob?
Yes.
To keep him as the son of the promise, right? So it's an unseen battle. Who is the son of promise? Who is the true heir? Through whom does the kingdom come? And both the Torah and the Haftarah declare God himself chooses the heir, not anyone else. God himself chooses the bride, not anyone else. Now let's look at the Brit Khadashah. Matthew 2. The bridegroom is revealed through conflict. Herod, you could equate to Adoniah, because he doesn't want this Messiah baby to be the king, because he's a king, and he's a false king. He's an Edomite. He's not even a Jew. Did y'all know that? Herod wasn't, he's king of Israel, but he's not even Jewish. He was appointed there, put there by Rome. Hello.
Yeah. Right.
Can you say Pope?
Yeah.
He's a false heir. He's a threat to the son because he wants to kill him. He tries to. But Matthew reveals the true heir in chapter 2, just like Genesis 25 does, and just like 1 Kings 1 does. Rivka left everything to follow the servant, to get to the son. And that's what Yeshua said in Matthew 8 and in Luke 9. Follow me, leave everything behind, lay down your nets, lay down your livelihood, is what he was telling them, and follow me. And that's what Rivka did. Can you imagine that? She's a young woman, barely probably 20 years old, if that. And she's going on a journey through which they are known bandits. That's why those cities had walls. And she knows that. And she's going on this journey to a land unknown where the worst people in the world live, going to live right in the big middle of. That's courage. That's devotion. That's knowing God's will in spite of the circumstances.
Yeah.
Are you with me? Rivka didn't hesitate. She didn't delay. She didn't say final goodbye. She didn't say, let me do some things. Let me do this. Let me go say bye to sweetheart over here, so-and-so over here. No. She immediately follows and does not look back. You could say that she is the first picture of real discipleship in Messiah. Because she leaves behind that life and goes and becomes part of Abraham's family. You can look at the servant and see that in Matthew 2 as well. The servant is like the spirit that guides, or the star that guides the Megoshim to Yeshua. Incidentally, it kind of dawned on Melanie. She knew it, but she saw it clearly last night that Yeshua was not a newborn when the Megoshim got there. That's what's so funny about what's going on at this time of year. People think that they arrived on the night he was born. No, they didn't. We don't know how old he is, but they still live in Bethlehem, and they're not in a sukkah. They're not in a manger either, because we believe he was in a sukkah anyway, but they're not in a sukkah. They're in a house. They decided to live there, right? They just stayed and either rented or bought a house right there, or inherited one, because they're both from Bethlehem. They might have been at their father's house. God interferes with the dream to protect the family. All right, so all of this together. Genesis has a bride that is chosen and leaves everything and meets the son. First Kings has the true heir is identified and enthroned by a bride. Are you with me? She's protecting the sonship. Are you with me? Bathsheba representing us there, protecting the sonship. Matthew and Luke both talk about requiring absolute surrender to be a disciple of Yeshua, and that's what Rivka demonstrates for us. And then Psalm 45, hello, I don't know if y'all read it, but it's like a summary of all of it. I've got a little bit of redundancy here. I'm trying to pick out what might need to be said. So the theme of identifying the Son is a theme that comes out in Revelation 22:17, where it says the Ruach and the bride say, come. And they're talking about the well of the Mighty Khayei, right? And that is alluding to sonship. Do you see that, Lynn? The true king is revealed and enthroned. The promised son is hidden in Genesis chapter 22, and then he's revealed, and then he's vindicated, and he gets all of the inheritance. So let's look at Psalm 45. It's about a royal wedding. It's a messianic wedding, and that's been true to even the rabbis since antiquity. Psalm 45 is a messianic wedding. When does the messianic wedding happen? What day does it happen on? Rosh Hashanah. So, first thing that Psalm 45 establishes is that the king is divine. Your throne, O God, is forever and ever. So, if you go to Hebrews 1, we understand that Yeshua is seated at the right hand of God, at the right hand of the Majesty on high, and so he is on the throne. We just sang it, that Yeshua came out of the Father, right?
Yeah.
In Psalm 45, the bride leaves everything. If you look at verses 10 and 11, it's like an echo of Rivka. Listen, daughter, forget your people and your father's house. Then the king will desire your beauty. Isaac is the king. Rivka is leaving her father's house, and she's being encouraged. Just go ahead and go. She left immediately, no hesitation. She left her father, her mother, her ridiculous brother, who was all about the money, pretending to be righteous. I didn't get into that. Pretending to be righteous. His name literally means lily white. And he's all about the money. And she leaves that behind to go to the king. And when she sees him, she runs. I was thinking about it. Not related to this at all, but I was thinking about it when we were saying Tehillah and trying to get a little more levity in here when that is going on. Not silliness, but joy in what we're here for. Celebrating that we are here because of Yeshua. We are here because he has rescued us from death and given us life already and promising resurrection in the future. And when that scroll comes out, it's like him walking, it's his DNA. It's like him walking through
Right.
all of Israel. It's beautiful in a Messianic congregation because it's always multicultural, multinational. Every Messianic congregation I've ever been in, they're the only congregations I've ever been in that had any serious multiracial stuff in. Certainly not the Baptist churches I grew up in. Didn't have that. So it's like Messiah touching the whole world when we bring that out. I'm trying to rejoice, and I feel like y'all are ball and chains holding me down. I think y'all will get after it. Knock the Baptist crust off of you and get busy. The bride is led in joy. So go home and read 45, verses 14 and 15. The virgin and her companions are rejoicing with gladness, and they are led with gladness and rejoicing. That's what it's all about. The servant escorted Rivka to protect her. He redeemed her with money. That relates to Isaiah 63 and Psalm 68. The nations are gathering together to follow the bride. That's what we're seeing in Isaiah 45. Psalm 45. And then in verses 16 and 17, your sons will be princes in all the earth. All the nations will praise you. That's about at the end. The bride is going. That's what we're doing right now, is building up that train and building up the sons of the bride. Are you with me? Shnei Khayei Sarah. The two lives of Sarah are the two lives of the redeemed. Yeshua said it. Though he dies, yet shall he live. That's Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba. So, Psalm 45. You see Sarah's two lives because you see the resurrection hope in that psalm. You see Rivka's calling because the bride is leaving her father's house. You see Isaac as an unseen groom. The Messiah is hidden until the appointed time. No one has seen the body of Messiah, the living body of Messiah, for 2,000 years. Rivka did not know Isaac, but she trusted. She knew who Abraham was. And I believe that God gave her the discernment that she needed to know something about that servant, told her to go with him. Are you with me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The Messiah is hidden until the appointed time. The true heir receives the kingdom, and then he receives his bride. That's the order that we saw it in our portions reading, right? Isaac inherits everything. He receives his bride. So, this whole portion, Khayei Sarah, is the convergence of this life and the next. It's a blueprint for the hope of the resurrection. Olam Hazeh, dwindling down. Olam Haba, the age to come, creeping up on us. And I believe we're at the end of the journey. I believe that we're just about to Sarah's tent. Are you with me? We're about to see it. And she puts on her veil. Meaning she's showing herself pure to the bride. And that's at the end of her journey. And I believe that's our whole mission. Is to help the bride get prepared for what's coming. And most people are oblivious to it. Not thinking about it. And think they don't have to be a virgin. They don't have to be pure in order for Yeshua to accept them and bring them into his bedchamber. If the imagery of a wedding doesn't make us think something's wrong about our relationship with God. Are you with me?
Yeah. Yes.
There's beauty, there's purity, there's kingship, inheritance, inviting all people to follow the bride. All of it's in the psalm. It's amazing to me. It's not, Machpelah isn't just a grave, it's a down payment on redemption. It's a looking forward to the resurrection of Sarah. Just like Yeshua being in a borrowed grave. Right? Sarah's was permanent. Yeshua's was borrowed because he wasn't going to be there for any length of time.
That's
right. The gifts summon the bride for the unseen son. I don't think for a second that Rivka went because of the money. that the servant brought. I think that Rivka went because she knew what her people were like and she figured out what their people were like. I honestly believe that's what it is because she saw the loyalty of that servant and the deference always back to the son and to Abraham. Loyalty, loyalty, loyalty in the face of bribing and all kinds of cajoling. You saw all of that. That's why she went. She leaves kin, home, all her past. She doesn't look back. That's why Yeshua said, let the dead bury the dead. If you're tangled up in this life and you're not worried about the kingdom, he said it in our portion. He who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is not fit for the kingdom of Messiah. And I've said it before, and I've watched it over and over after I've said, people come and say they're going to do thus and so for the kingdom, and they put their hand to it, and 3 weeks later, they're gone, or they stop. They're never there. People show up for every third Shabbat. You with me? I'm not condemning anybody, but discipleship is a strong word. Servant of righteousness is a strong word. You have a clash of heirs. Heirs. The 12 against the 12. Adoniah against Solomon. Herod against Messiah. That clash we're still going to have to deal with. God may move us into places we don't want to go. God may move us into places we want to go. We have to follow him, right? But we have to protect the sonship of the gospel. I firmly believe that. I'm going to scream to the top of my lungs about his sonship because nobody's preaching it anymore. Have you heard anybody preaching it lately? We have to guard the divine line of the covenant through Abraham, through Isaac, through Jacob, through David, through Yeshua. So, we got to understand that in one way, we who have been saved in such a way that Abraham couldn't enjoy, looked forward to it, knew it was coming, but he couldn't enjoy it. Where we are already participating in Olam Haba, the world to come. We had a taste of it. We're living in it. And I try to make that real for you guys, or make you understand how real it is that we live in that age, that we're part of a different realm, that we're not dead to it anymore. And understanding that is knowing that there are people out there that are savable.
Amen.
I want you to pray. I don't know how much I can tell, but I told my wife all of it for obvious reasons. But I finally met a person who is a blank slate. And I'm just hoping that God's word can be written on that heart. So pray with me about it, and maybe we can talk in private about it.
Amen.
So hang on to Olam Haba. Hang on to the Son of God. We're about to see him step out into the field, which is the sky, by the way, right? Where we're going to meet him. And we're going to have our veil on because we're going to be pure and ready for him. Amen?
Amen.